What is the past? Can you take it out and do something with it? So it's not real, right? It's not real, right? So you're thinking.
So Byron focuses a lot on the idea that the past is not real as part of the method of de-emphasizing past trauma or past pain. So this is a very important thing to drill into a little bit. And so the first question is, what is real? Meaning, you or I and Byron has to have a definition of reality in order to answer the question. And of course, it's a leading question with the right. But let's look into, the past is useful in certain situations, and it's not useful in other situations. It's neutral and it's damaging in other situations. Generally, we project the past onto the present. And she's asking about, do you have any evidence that the past exists? Let's listen.
About nothing. And we spend our lives this way in the movie. And then the next time someone they say, you want a banana? I think. When I say, oh yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about. But what is my reference? Nothing.
So, there's value in waking up and knowing it's a movie. But there's also value in understanding the beginning of the movie, in enjoying the ending. One doesn't enjoy the end of a movie without remembering the beginning, because most good movies present some form of a challenge, some form of a question, some form of an emotion, and then over the course of the movie they resolve it. The question, or what she's saying about, I think I know what the banana is because of the past, is correct. Meaning, if you have eaten 1,000 different foods, and there are some foods that are your favorite and some foods that are horrible, then, your odds of predicting whether you will enjoy the banana go way up if you know what a banana is and remember having eaten it before. And Byron talks a little bit about, where's your proof that the past exists? And it's a questionable question in the sense that would anyone read a Byron Katie book if they didn't remember it? Meaning, if you read a Byron Katie book and then immediately you read the first word, you forgot the next word. So you didn't complete a sentence. You just had one word, the, and then the next word, its, and then the next word, table. There's no meaning without a sequence, and a sequence requires not just the awareness of the current word you're reading. Because, of course, Byron makes no sense if we...
Zero, less.
So if we just watch zero and less, then there's a challenge. Zero what? Zero less what? We have no idea, because that's in the future or that's in the past. And so it has no meaning if that's all we ever watch of Byron Katie. We need to go back into the past, to the beginning of the concept. And of course, where did Byron learn the word past? Did she learn the word past in the moment? Or did she learn the word past in the past? And if the past doesn't exist, then how does she know the word past? Because she learned to speak English as a child, and she learned to spell English as an adolescent. And so that is the proof. She asked the audience if they had ever eaten a banana and then said, "Where's your proof?" Well, if you ask enough people, there's probably someone with a banana peel in the audience, or they can go back to the hotel room and get the banana peel out of the garbage. And, well, a banana peel suggests that there was a banana. And so one of the important things is to understand that the present is inextricably linked to the past and the projected future. And that Byron Katie wouldn't be teaching these works if she hadn't had a vision in the past. We wouldn't be at the event if we had not signed up in the past. If I haven't paid my bill to Byron Katie, she will look up the invoice in the past and will look up bills paid in the past and say, therefore, you should pay me now. And so the question is not whether there isn't value in examining the past, which you can't do if the past doesn't exist. The question is whether the tool of examining the past, saying the past doesn't exist, is a workable or effective tool.
So most people raise their hands. It looked like everyone did from here, but...
So here again, she's remembering the past in this moment, and she's remembering and pretending the past to make a point. A lot of people raised their hands that they had eaten a banana at some point, but she's remembering that now to make a point in the present.
Let's say everyone raise their hands. So we can all image anyone.
And saying that everyone raised their hands is, of course, a story.
Who thinks their thinking can do this work. So you go back in a moment of time. How many of you ate breakfast this morning? Where's your proof?
There's a tremendous amount of proof if you look for it. If you want a certified stamped receipt from the breakfast employee saying, this is proof the person had breakfast at 10 a.m. this morning, here's my signature, And you can come and look at the toilet where the breakfast was washed down, and you can look at the leftover food where the breakfast was prepared, and you can look at the cook's salary who made the thing. You cannot isolate this event with the reality. People would be, lower blood sugar, etc., if they didn't have breakfast, including Byron.
Nothing. Okay, so
So people are playing along with Byron, but no scientist would play along if this was a serious thing. They're here to learn from Byron, and so she has to introduce ideas that have worked for her to share them with the audience. And they're hoping to get Byron's result of having a vision of being free from suffering and pain and being able to accept what is. And so they want the result. And every one of us who wants a result, whether it's capitalism or listening to our parents, when our parents lie to us about something and they say, don't sass your parents and you'll grow up and you'll see. We want the results of not being punished by our parents and pretending they didn't lie or, betray or steal something, or aren't being hypocritical. And when the teachers at school say, if you have an education, you'll grow up and be independent, you want the result, even though it's questionable how learning algebra is going to help you have a career as a veterinarian or something of that nature. But you want the result that is promised, which is more well-being and a happier life.
raised your hand. Those of you who didn't saw images of you not eating breakfast. Or you would raise your hand if you heard the question and you thought you were being honest. Okay, so the reason I'm sharing this with you is so you can go back to that situation we started with and be comfortable in that situation. So you could, just like the banana, just like breakfast, you can meditate on, anchor in that situation. And even talking to you right now, I can see Paul. He's so upset, and I see this weird woman I called me coming at him, and I can see it. I couldn't see it then. I just saw him as a liar. When I think of him then, when I think of him then, now, I feel so soft with it. Innocent man. Okay, so you have everything you need to fill in statement 1. And again, the reason I shared so much in this.
And this is, the distinction that I make is I think it's wonderful that Byron is restructuring her memory of the past with less conflict, with less fear, with less faulty beliefs overlaid on that past. Because that's the outcome. She says, now when I look into the past, which of course you can't do if the past doesn't exist, she's saying that she's changed her view of her husband with the benefit of compassion. And although I would say that she has changed her criticism from her husband to her past self. So now she looks at her past self and sees a maniac. And she looks at the husband who first scared her by having 4 heart attacks and then scared her by smoking when he had 4 heart attacks, and then was angry, and then lied about the smoking, which made her feel crazy. And so she looks with great compassion at the innocence of her husband and says, he did nothing wrong. He's innocent. But there's a crazy woman who's attacking him, who's my past self. So my past husband is now cleared of all charges, but my past self is now being considered as weird and crazy. And what's difficult about that is most people will take on some shame in this situation. Now, if you take on shame personally, or criticize yourself personally in some way, and I don't think Byron is actually doing that. I don't think she's feeling ashamed or badly about herself, but she's talking much more critically about herself than she's talking about her husband. And I think the real trick is whether or not you can get out of the blame, shame, criticism, scarcity mentality to begin with. If you do that by stopping blaming yourself and understanding why a wife who is dependent on a man to help raise children, knowing the statistics of impact, if the father dies and the children are reared by her alone, without income support and without a father, then statistically, those children and the mother have a harder time of it. Meaning, statistically, their pain will go up. And nobody wants more pain as its own goal. Some people believe that if you have no pain, no gain, and so they want the gain, so they want the pain, but what they really want is the gain. But every human being wants to feel good and doesn't want to feel bad. And so if your partner is steering the reality in a way in which you are more likely to feel bad, there's a natural fear of the anticipated or probable pain that will come. And in that situation, anger comes up that you would risk my pain, or fear comes up, and then anger that you're scaring me. Because if I had known when I had children with you that you'd have 4 heart attacks and smoke and then lie about it, maybe I wouldn't have put my children into that statistical probability field. And so there's a sense of grievance and helplessness. And so I have a lot of compassion for Katie's past going through this. Now, I have no doubt that the same compassion could easily be applied to her husband, because he's living those heart attacks. He's drawn to things that maybe damage his body. And then he's feeling ashamed or unable to smoke and, do what he wants because his wife is scared of the impact on her. And maybe he's managing his own pain with the addiction. But all of that is in the past. And I think one of the vulnerabilities in this dynamic is that it's possible for many people in unbalanced situations. In this case, Katie is not lying. She is not endangering her children's single parenting raising. She's asking her husband not to lie and expressing her anger that he is, and her anger that he's damaging his body, which is damaging perhaps their marriage. And to the point, can you absolutely know that that's true? Well, can you absolutely know that drinking arsenic is going to be bad for your health? Well, if it's not absolutely true, why not give it a try and be open-minded? So statistical data from the past is relevant. So I think Katie misses the boat in the approach of trying to pretend that the past doesn't exist while referencing it and depending on it constantly for even basic comprehension of her work.
In these last few moments with you, it's so that you can go back and really see your situation clearly without.
So these last few moments and situations with you, that's in the past. And so that you can go back, that's also in the past, and see what was in the past. So you can't go back and see something if it's nothing. So that's the riddle in the middle here.
Guilt, without spiritual arrogance. Just witness, mindfully meditating on that situation.
That situation in the past. So I think how I would reframe what Katie is saying is that many of us are living as if the past controlled us. And in fact, it only influences us. And we need to break down the control by being conscious and mastering our relationship of that past.